Meanwhile, the Taliban are looking for investors. They're talking about setting up special economic zones, and military bases are a part of their plan. These are foreign military bases, the ones that housed American soldiers and ammunition. Almost 2 years back, the Taliban took control. They also took over the weapons left behind by the Western forces. What happened to them? And what happened to the bases? Our next report tells you what Afghanistan's terror regime is planning next. The Taliban have made an announcement. They have plans to redo their foreign military bases. Once occupied by the US to house soldiers and ammunition, Kabul now wants to make it into an attractive destination for investors. In short, they want to create special economic zones. What are special economic zones? These are designated regions or zones that have a set of different economic laws, more liberal than the rest of the country. The aim is to promote investments, create jobs, and boost the economy. Afghanistan's Deputy Prime Minister for Economic Affairs, Mullah Baradar, has given the go-ahead. The details of the plan are not public yet. Taliban officials say the pilot plan will begin in Kabul and in the northern Balkh province. This includes the famous Bagram Air Base. It's a former Soviet facility. It was the largest US military base during Washington's 2-decade stay. Located around 70 kilometers north of Kabul, it reportedly housed close to 20,000 American troops at one point. So how many bases are we talking about? On last count, Afghanistan had a total of 700 military bases. 400 of them reportedly belonged to the US and its allies. Then the US withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021. It shut these bases, left aircraft, vehicles and weapons worth $7 billion. President Biden had some tough questions to answer at home.
I do not believe whatsoever what you're saying about the administration not working to manipulate that intelligence. To me, that is the most logical explanation of how so many in the intelligence community got this so wrong about what was going to happen in Afghanistan. Why it would seem somehow logical for President Biden to leave the, quote, most advanced military weaponry, why some would not speak out against that if they were getting the false intelligence because it was coming from the top down to manipulate it. In my opinion, that's absolutely aid and comfort to the enemy.
Needless to say, US weapons then fell into the hands of the Taliban, who did not need a second invitation. As for the bases, many became parking spots. Now Kabul wants to change that. It wants businesses and trade centers to function in the military bases. It says that is to promote economic growth and development. But why now? It's because of the mess that Afghanistan is in. The Taliban's return in 2021 marked the beginning of a humanitarian and financial crisis. The United Nations estimates that more than 70% of the population needs humanitarian assistance. That's around 28 million Afghans. More than 6 million are a step away from famine. Citizens are struggling to survive. Afghanistan's economy is much worse. It is one of the world's most aid-dependent countries. Aid makes up about 40% of Afghanistan's GDP and 75% of the government spending. Donors invested as much as $65 billion in grants since 2002, but the Taliban's return changed everything. The new government in Kabul faced a slew of sanctions. The US froze the Afghan central bank's assets worth $7 billion. The pandemic and the war in Ukraine just added to the troubles. As a result, the economy shrunk. The World Bank says it contracted by close to 30 to 35% between 2021 and 2022. But Kabul wants to keep the cash flow going, and the creation of special economic zones is just one step in that direction. The Taliban also wants to use natural resources to its advantage. Reports peg the value of Afghanistan's natural resources at more than $1 trillion. In fact, last month the Taliban said it planned to sign a contract with Chinese firms. The aim is to drill for oil in parts of northern Afghanistan. This is said to be the first major energy extraction agreement since 2021, one that will help get in revenue. But here's the catch. Taliban is no elected government, and Afghanistan is no democracy. Welfare for the people is perhaps the last on their priority, if at all. As for the dreams of foreign investments, those may remain pipe dreams. Reports say even the Chinese are now weighing their options carefully. This was after a series of attacks on hotels popular among Chinese businessmen. The attacks happened last year the Islamic State took responsibility. Afghanistan still remains a dangerous country. For starters, it is run by a bunch of terrorists. Convincing businesses amidst this will be a Herculean task. And now it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. We start with Turkey, still picking up the pieces. The rescue effort has ended in all but 2 places. Amid the devastation, some birthday cheer for a 5-year-old girl. And carnivals across the world. In Italy, it's the Battle of Oranges, much like Holi in India and Tomatina in Spain. This event dates back to medieval times, we're told. In Colombia, it's the Battle of Flowers, one of the most popular parades in the country. And in Brazil, the world's biggest carnival, the showstopper was a Bollywood-style parade with Brazilians in traditional Indian clothes dancing to Indian music. We're leaving you with this. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
Toma bastante água e cerveja.